Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to part 2 of Workers Only Hard Mode. The rules are the same as last time. I'm only allowed to make workers, and every level must be completed on a higher difficulty. This video will cover the leafcutter and fire ant levels. Without further delay, let's go into the harvest. In Workers Only Hard Mode Part 1, I did not mention my lost attempts very much. For Part 2, this is going to change. I spent dozens upon dozens of hours on these levels, just trying over and over. With the harvest, this level can be completed not just on hard, but on insane with challenge mode. I normally don't bring challenge mode into workers only, but it felt right with the harvest. My objective is to beat the opponent leafcutter colony to 14,000 leaves. A big help for this level was one of the senior ICS incandescent. He completed this level before I did and greatly assisted my early game and overall strategy. His testing helped to create the optimal early game, allowing for as many leaves as early on as possible. The two jumping spiders outside of my nest caused lots of problems. By the time it's night, you should be matching the enemy leaf count. Head west to collect leaves up there and be careful to avoid patrolling crickets. Do not harvest from leaves infested with forward flies, as it will be diminishing returns. Keep harvesting around the crickets until the next day. Then, the biggest piece of RNG comes into play. Adult mantis are horrible. With level 1 workers, they are nigh unstoppable. I cannot fight them under any circumstance. 1 or 2 adult mantis will always spawn on day 2. Sometimes they'll spawn in the center just below the enemy nest. This is bad, as on day 2 my goal is to collect all the seedlings below the enemy nest for a huge boost in food. If a mantis spawns here, it's a reset. This happened twice. On night 2, the goal is to harvest more leaves to the west, while ignoring all enemy creatures. There are also random rove beetle raids that can sometimes happen. If one of these occur, it's not a reset, but it's very bad. If all goes well, day 3 should be the last day, as you should aim to win on this day. With several hundred workers, nothing is really a threat. That is, until the enemy majors attack. On Insane, there are nearly 24 majors per attack wave, and they're mostly level 3. There is no way I can kill these majors, so I'll stall them. By placing one of the harvesting groups on the majors, my workers will move in a conga line fashion to the majors, stalling them. If the majors do advance into my nest, it's a loss. They cannot enter the nest under any circumstance, or workers won't be able to drop off leaves they have collected. Enemy majors advancing happened 7 times. Why? I only learned why after all 7 attempts. It's because I needed more nest workers. I wasn't getting respawns fast enough. This one attempt, I was 5 leaves off from winning before my queen died. Once I made more nest workers, it was an easy win. But this level drove me to my limit because of just this one small mistake. Frontline. This level brings back horrible memories of attempts on medium trying to break the lines and to no avail. But this level can be completed on medium. Our objective is to push the army ants back, and Killer Death, one of the senior ICS, came up with the strategy to use Dave in a clever way. The army sends scouts, and if these scouts spot your forces, they will try and call for reinforcements. Killing these reinforcements counts towards the objective, and they aren't in the foraging lines, so they won't be constantly reinforced by more army ants. So, we send Dave to go to the scouts and tell them exactly where my forces are, before promptly dying. This way, we can farm these for victory. I decided not to do this though. Since Workers Only Part 1, my skill in Empires of the Undergrowth has greatly improved. I could collect and optimize much faster, allowing me to have more ants earlier on. This way, I can fight the army before they start to send too many majors. By fighting earlier, my flimsy workers can stand up to the army, but I must make sure to greet the army each day when they arrive for enough time to deal damage. If a mantis interrupts the reinforcements trail, it's actually not that bad, as they can be killed very quickly using attack switching. By running my workers into the army over and over, I eventually overcame the brutish army by being even more headstrong than they were. On to the swamp. Welcome to Cold Blood. As I did this level previously on medium, I must try this level on hard. Our objective is to slay the massive bullfrog and then defend against an amphibian attack wave. Some differences from medium to hard are increased toad counts, larger final wave, much stronger bullfrog, and most importantly, the enemy colonies have soldiers that guard the queen. Because of this, it is impossible to kill the little black ant queen, like I did in my medium run. This isn't too much of a problem, but it's quite the thorn in my side later on. To start the level out, I collect all the aphids around the swamp, and then I wait, and wait some more. All I'm doing is waiting and collecting food here and there, killing the occasional toad invader and waiting some more. That is until day 3. Both enemy colonies decided that I shouldn't be alive anymore. They both sent vicious attacks at the exact same time, and I actually couldn't defend. I lost all my aphids and had to reset. This next attempt, I lived through day 3. Then the notoriously scary Night 3 attack invaded. I barely survived against more than a dozen toads. After surviving, I collect all the food I can and then try to attack the bullfrog. Just like in the medium run, this takes forever to do and nearly 2,000 food. Not to mention the other two colonies constantly harassing the fire ants and attacking their nest. To top all of this off, the bullfrog will almost always jump away instead of staying and dying for me to consume, leaving me out of food and vulnerable to the final wave. Now we get to talk about why I think this level is not possible on hard. The amphibian attack. After the bullfrog hops away, we're out of food and must defend against vicious attacks. Amphibians will burrow in far too quickly and I will always die. I only actually made it to the amphibian attack wave twice, as more often than not I can't even kill the bullfrog in time with the food I have. I look at the number of salamanders and toads that invade and it's clear this isn't possible. It's not even close. This marks my first defeat in the Workers Only Challenge. But we're not done yet. Let's go see if a bridge too far is possible on hard. Welcome to A Bridge Too Far. I still hold the world record for this level, and my knowledge for it is deep and thorough. In my previous attempt, I tried to complete hard, but fell short due to the large attack waves and the increased objective. But medium was far too easy. Since then, I've learned more about 4.2, and I firmly believe my chances are high with this level. The objective is to grow my ant colony by a few hundred workers. Starting out, I had two primary ideas for how to complete this level. The first idea, collect as many aphids as possible and try to hold on during the day 2 and 3 attacks, slowly growing the population. And the second idea, collect as much food as quickly as possible, ignoring aphids to burst my population size and invade the little black ants. I first tried the second idea and got as much food as possible, by aggressively clearing underground food and claiming some hard to get surface food during the night. I can amass a sizable number of workers by day 2. But now we have a big problem. The attack waves after day 1 are absurd, sending almost a dozen large creatures to go knocking on my door. Tiger beetles, false bombardier beetles, checker beetles. They all one-shot workers, attack fast, and have loads of health. But the worst of all of these is the red velvet ant. This wasp has tons of health, an incredibly devastating area of effect sting, and reflects damage to make controlling my ants difficult. If more than one of these spawn on day 2, it is always a reset. But even if only one spawns, I will almost always die here. It takes incredible luck, efficiency, and skill to barely scrape by on day 2. Night 2 isn't much better though. Although newts aren't too bad to handle, the skimmer will land on the second night, which does not happen on medium. I tried to bridge to the little black ants and amazingly I finished the bridge, but I could only get about 30 to 40 workers over the bridge. I needed maybe 4 times this to defeat the colony. So the little black ants crushed me. The worst part about this is, I had as many workers as I could have by this time, and it wasn't even close to enough. And so, the skimmer lands, and I amazingly did kill it, but not before sacrificing hundreds of food to do so. This is where I claim A Bridge Too Far to be impossible on hard. Day 3 is too brutal. The creatures that wash up spawn in 3 different groups. One group of lynx spiders, one group of mixed creatures from the previous day, and another group of more than a dozen bombardier beetles. The bombardier beetles are deadly in large numbers, but so are the mixed creatures. In the end, it comes down to which creature group spawns south, so I can sometimes kill them and collect the 800 food or so they guard. The worst part about this is, toads spawn during the day and force me to defend at home for the first half of the day, instead of weakening attacks like I need to be doing. For this attempt, the mixed creatures spawned south and I could not kill them. They swept through me and my nest. On my second attempt, I made it to day 3. The bombardier beetles spawned south, and on top of this, multiple velvet ants spawned with the mixed creatures, which is actually good, since that meant there were less beetles one-shotting my workers. I collected all the food and killed all the bombardier beetles. Got in position to defend with 1,200 food after dead creatures. I killed most of the invaders and thought I finally passed day 3. But the velvet ants bounced back and forth, stinging ants and disabling respawns. Even with the most optimal path for everything, it still was not enough. But I believe that day 3 is possible. If everything was perfect, but that's not the issue, however. I was only about 2/3 through the objective, and I spent 1,200 food on defending this wave. From experience at this level, I know how brutal Night 3 is. Spiders, insects, and amphibians running amok everywhere would make collecting my aphids nigh impossible. In conclusion, even if I was able to defend the harsh day 3 attacks, Night 3 and the day that follows would surely finish me off. I hate to admit defeat on these levels, but I poured dozens of hours into attempting these, with different strategies all to fail, over and over again. Some ICS members are still attempting these levels, and Incandescent is leading the attempts, but I do believe these to be impossible on hard, with workers only. Admitting defeat is not something that I ever wanted to do, but the sheer rampant difficulty from medium to hard on these levels is too brutal, and there is no special tactic like there is on Queen of the Hill. Thank you for watching the Workers Only finale. There will be more Workers Only content with the future release of Tier 5, that is a long way away. Have a wonderful day.